when we were kids, if you wanted to buy weed, you went over to a drug dealer's house and he had a gun sitting on the table and you were like in a sketchy place and you didn't know what was happening and anything could go wrong at any time. And now the kids, they can just show their ID and walk into any dispensary and smoke weed anywhere in the world. And I kind of feel like skateboarding is just like that. It's desensitized and became almost, I mean, don't get me wrong, the tricks are just as fucking sketchier than ever. But the pussiness that comes with it is a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, speaking about that, you're like Baker family, Baker boys, and that whole crew was, I think, one of the crews that with the videos really made a real stamp on the spirit of skateboarding, especially of the time. Like when I think about skateboarding and what I thought that it was and what I thought that it stood for and what it did stand for, at least to me and my friends, I think about that team. I think about those videos. I think about you and your friends, and I think about the music. Like there's a feeling to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having come from that and having lived that, it must be a little bit of a trip.
I mean, those were the days. I have so many memories that are just already popping in my head, but we're not even going to go into those. But those were the memories that will live on forever, where it was old Wu-Tang, it was 3-6 Mafia, it was fucking rock and roll. Everybody, unfortunately, in skateboarding at that time came from a broken home, came from divorced parents, from this, from that. Their brothers were in jail, their sister, their mom, their whatever, and everybody had this grunge to them. And you knew it, and you just looked at everybody as, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my family, you know what I mean? And now I love skateboarding, and I'll never give up on skateboarding because it is my life. It is my whole soul, my everything. So it doesn't matter where and how these kids change it. It'll still always be that Jay Adams, that bullshit that nobody cared about. Nobody cared about you. You were the least famous, the least to succeed, the least to be anything in high school. You were just the kid that wanted to be on the fucking board and riding a curb. And that's how it'll always be in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like very adjacent to punk, very adjacent to like
well,
DIY.
Everybody back then was in a band.
Yeah.
Like just look at every pro skateboarder back in the day. Everybody was in a punk band. Now everybody's a rapper, which is the same thing. Good for them. I fucking love it. You know what I mean? Make music, make memories, have fun, fucking thrash the shit out of everything you can. Burn it down. That's the motto of skateboarding.
Yeah. When did you first become aware of skating as a thing growing up in Las Vegas? When did you first see it?
You know, I don't remember what it was. I think I must have been 5 or something like that. And my parents took me, and it sucks that, no, maybe even younger than that I can't remember quite what it was. But about 5 houses up or 6 houses up, they had this big vert ramp. And this was like late 80s or mid 80s. I don't even know, 87, 88. And when I was a kid, I used to just go sit there, and you weren't allowed in the backyard or anything, but the vert ramp was so much higher than the backyard that you would just watch these guys just fucking flying and going up and down. And I remember as I got older, I met these guys, and it's like Team Cheese and these other guys who own the ramp. And they're like, you know that when you guys were kids, that was like Tony Hawk and all them coming over. You guys were watching them as kids, not even fucking knowing it. And it just kind of clicked. And I remember if you go out in front of my house, there's a little curb. And when I was 7 or 8 years old, I got my first skateboard, old school, big deck, it must have been 90 or 91 or something like that. And I think MTV just came out. And I seen a guy hippie jump over something. And I was like, I'm going to do that. Of course, everything always happened when there was a babysitter here. Never when my mom was here or my dad. And I hippie jumped over it, landed back on my board because I set up 2 bricks and a piece of plywood. Hippie jumped over it, landed on the board, slipped out, and I just remember hitting my head. And I just remember standing up, and I was so dazed. I didn't know what was going on, and I walked along the side of the house, and the babysitter comes around, and I just remember going like this, and there was just blood gushing everywhere, and her screaming. You know, I grew up with the middle child of 2 brothers, a year apart and a year younger, so we fought our whole life. So crying and bullshitting wasn't really a big deal until somebody else told you that it was a big deal. And the way this lady freaked out, I fucking lost it. And then they rushed me to the hospital, and that was my introduction to skateboarding. My mom took away my board, didn't see one for another couple years, and then my older brother started skating. And him being who he was, him and his friends, and my dad being a carpenter, they started building ramps. And I just, for my 12th birthday, was like, I want to do what my older brother's doing. They look like they're having fun. And by this point, they were already doing kickflips and everything else. And I got a board and just instantly soccer, baseball, everything stopped. It was like I was addicted within a couple of days. Like there was nothing else in the fucking world that mattered. And it's just been a wrap since then.
What companies were around then? What teams and videos were around then?
So I think, so I got my board in September, like 3 weeks before my birthday, because I was begging so hard. And one of my best friends, she lived down the street, and she's still one of my best friends. She stole her brother's skateboard and gave it to me for a birthday present. And that was my first board. And then Christmas rolled around a couple months later, and my mom got us Uno 41114 or 12, Uno 41112, and Welcome to Hell. And she was freaked out by the name Welcome to Hell, but she was like, oh, we'll give it a chance. And I think the first video I ever watched was Uno. And if you've ever seen Uno, Uno was the first Transworld video ever. And it was like a montage of today's best legends. Everybody had a video part. Everybody. Tom Penny, Heath Kirchart, fucking Mike Carroll. I mean, it was an endless list. Everybody was in it. And I remember just thinking, wow, Tom Penny and all these people, they're the greatest skaters ever. And then we watched Form 112. That was amazing. And then the last video we ever put in was Welcome to Hell. And everything just stopped. Because I just remember going, this isn't possible. They can do this on that thing that I'm trying just to learn how to go from one crack to the other.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So it was the only 3 skate media. That was like the first 3 skate media things you saw.
Yeah, that was my intro to like, before that, I already learned how to ollie, and it was just me trying to learn how to ollie and learn how to kickflip. But I didn't know that how good people were. I just seen my older brother do it, and my fucking older brother's friends, and they were learning kickflips.
Yeah.
Never knew until like Mike Maldonado's part comes on, Alyssa Steamer, then Jamie Thomas when that hit, or, you know, Ed Templeton's part when that hit, everything changed. Mike Maldonado, when he had Misfits song, I was like, this is my favorite skater ever. And then Jamie Thomas's part came on. And it was like, imagine being just turning 12 and your heart stops and you're like, wait a minute, whoa. Rewind that. But did that dude just jump on that thing that's out front of my school? And that's like 25 stairs, and he just casually just rode down that? it was just a game changer.
Were you aware of that? Like LA is right over there. I could take a bus, or I could take a car. Like all these spots are there and all that shit.
Nope. I mean, I never knew shit about California. And it wasn't until I think we were around 13, our parents started once a year saying, oh, let's go to Newport Beach. And I remember I came back the very first time and I just learned all those tricks. And I've been skating for almost a year now, or about a year. I've gotten pretty good in my head. And we went to Huntington Beach, or Newport, and then Huntington and all that. And I was like, I just remember looking at my mom and going, why the fuck are we going back to Vegas? This is it. This is the paradise. This is the mecca of everything. I don't care about the beach. There's skaters everywhere. It's not like, in Newport, it was like you went to walk outside your house, or we were on the boardwalk, and you would just see people all day skateboarding back and forth. Yeah. I never seen skaters. There was me and my friend at high school, and there was 2 other friends at the other high school, and there was 2 other friends at the other high school. And besides that, everybody else was older than us. So we were just the young Groms. Now there was just kids everywhere, and I just was blown away. Why the fuck are we going home? I made like 15 friends, and all I did was walk outside the house. Then it was a wrap from there. I was like, we're coming to California as often, as much as we can. We'll steal cars. Because buses, you couldn't take a bus back then. When you're 13, 14, whatever, you don't have permission from a parent. You can't just get on a Greyhound. So by the time we were 14, we were stealing our friends' mom's cars. They'd be at work or go on a vacation. We'd be like, we'll go to California for the day. And I'd say I'm spending the night. And I remember that's how I got busted. And I was grounded for a long time. Was we stole my friend's mom's car at 15. We've already done the trip like 20 times, but we did it at 15, and we went driving because we didn't know how to get to LA. So we'd drive to Huntington and then take the 405 all the way up. So it was like we'd spend an extra 3 hours that we shouldn't have, but we were driving, and I got stuck in between 2 semis. I was 15, and I fucking went around them at like 100 and something, and I got pulled over.
Oh shit!
And they ended up fucking busting us for everything. And then our parents were like, "What the fuck were you doing?" And we were like, "Well, we used to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. We knew we can be in LA by 10." Skate till fucking 5 in the afternoon and be home before you even knew that we were even gone. And she just tripped out. And that's after she heard all those stories. She was like, you can just go. I already know you're going to go anyways.
So you were 17 when you moved out there?
Yeah.
And what was that like when you arrived there?
Well, I moved there with 5 friends. And within 3 weeks of moving there, and his mom. So it was like a 2-bedroom apartment right in LA off the 10 freeway right before it hits the 405. And 3 weeks in, me and the kid it was him and his mom, I got in a huge fight with him because he was just being a little grumpy bitch. And he kicked me out. And I remember I was sleeping in my car for about a month or 2, telling my mom I still live there. We went to a trade show in San Diego, and we were pulling back up on the 10 freeway. Me and my friend Eric, we met at the 15 and the 10 freeway to have lunch. And I said, I give up, man. It's not going to happen. I'm going to go home. And he was a year or 2 older than me. And he was like, stop being a bitch, dude. You can do this. Figure it out. We'll make it happen. You're my best friend. And we spent like 2 hours talking. And I was like, you're right. And I convinced my mom, or told my mom I was still living at these people's houses. Went and slept in Venice Beach found different trees and slept for like 8 months. And then one day I ran into this dude, Anthony Mosley, and he was like, yo, you can come stay at my house tonight. And I was there for maybe an hour. And fucking, oh no, before that happened, I was still homeless. And 9/11 happened. And that same morning 9/11 happened, me and Jamie Owens went out and I backsmith Beverly 12. And then my board broke after I landed it. And we went to Melrose to buy a new board because I knew a skate shop was there. And it must have been 2:00 in the afternoon. There was this guy in an Escalade honking the horn, holding an American flag out the street in his car. And he's just rolling down the street. And we were like, damn, that's Chad Muska. And a couple minutes later, Muska was skating down the street. And we were like, hey, man, you're from Vegas. We have all the mutual friends. And he goes, oh, I'm going to this skate shop, Brooklyn Projects. Do you have a sponsor me tape or just a tape? And I was like, yeah. And I gave him the tape. Very first thing was the backsmith that I just landed like 2 hours before. As soon as it plays that, he presses stop and goes, I don't need to see the rest. You're on Ghetto Child, Shorties, this, that, Circa, everything. Where are you living? And I was like, oh, I'm sleeping under some trees. Like, you're coming over to my house. Went up and I stayed at his house for like a couple weeks. Then, you know, him doing his thing and whatever, I went back doing my thing. Then I ran into Anthony Mosley, was just on flow for all these people. He asked me to come over. Then I came over. I know this story's getting long.
Nah, it's all good.
Really
bro.
long.
It's all good.
You guys can edit this shit down. But he brought me over. About half an hour over, we're at the house. The door gets kicked in because he just got on bootleg. Door gets kicked in. It's Andrew Reynolds wasted. Eric Ellington wasted. Trainwreck wasted. Everybody wasted. And they're like, we just got kicked out of our apartment because, and you know, they were paying the rent for this apartment. We're staying here. We stayed up all night. I was still just a little kid. Just smoking weed and drinking all night with them. But I was, you know, hanging with the big dogs. And by the morning, Andrew and them were like, where are you sleeping tomorrow? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, you're with us from now on. And that was like that. About a week later, they asked me, do you want to ride for fucking quit shorties and all that shit? You want to get on us? We'll turn you am. I was like, let's do this. Chad was pissed for about a week. And then he was like, you know what? Everybody knew that you should have been on that team and not this one. You were fucking a full-blown Hesher. So this was meant for you. And it was just all history from there.
So when you moved to LA, you were moving there with the intention of making it in skateboarding.
No, I knew I was.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck what anybody said.
That was the whole plan.
No, I knew. I remember I must have been in 9th grade or 8th grade. And I told the teacher when she said, what are you going to be when you get older? And I said, I'm going to be a pro skateboarder. And I'll never forget this bitch laughing at me. And she was like, how many pro skateboarders are there in this world? And at that time, it was very few. And I go, I don't know, maybe 200. She was like, how many of them are actually making money? I go, maybe 20. And she goes, and you think you're going to be part of that? I go, no. I'm going to be number one of that. And she just laughed. And I just remember being mad as fuck, just looking at her like, I'll show this bitch. I don't care what she says. There was nothing that could have deterred me from what I was going to do. And I'm just like anything, you put your mind to it, it's going to happen.
What was it like when, you know, you go there for that purpose and then you're sleeping under trees and you're doing everything, but then all of a sudden, like, you actually are meeting heads and you actually are getting put on these teams?
I mean, I don't know. My too many good times that I can't remember the old times. So I can't really tell you all those stories. I just remember, you know, those certain ones from the very, very, very beginning. But once everything started rolling, it was just, every day was a memory. So they all just blend in. I can't really recall besides we just did the damn thing every moment, every day, every night. We're up till 4 a.m. fucking partying. Wake up at 10, hitting the biggest handrail you can ever see by fucking 1. Back to partying again by 4. So it all just blurred.
How different was LA back then compared to how it is now? Because like all I've I have no idea what it was like back then versus now.
How different was New York back then compared to what it is
Even
now?
just like 5 years ago to now is nuts.
Exactly. So
Because you hear about it a lot, New York side, but you don't really hear. I don't hear about it. My friends aren't talking about it like LA side.
So the first time I went to New York, I was 18. They let me into Max Fish knowing I was 18. You can wander the streets. You can do anything. It was the funnest fucking city on earth. And now I go back to the Lower East Side and I go back to all these places and I'm like, what the shit happened? LA was the funnest place on earth. It was women everywhere, rock and roll, tight skirts, fucking just tits out to blazing. It didn't matter. The sun was out. Surfer blonde girls. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
To now when I go back, homeless, scary, trash everywhere. You got to carry a fucking knife and a gun just to make sure that you can just walk your dog. It drastically has changed. So I don't know how to explain it besides I can only imagine from the times I've had to what when I hear stories when people tell me about the 80s and the 70s of what it was like. It was one of the funnest places on earth. To now, I hate going back to LA if I don't have to, even though it's still my home.
Oh, really? You don't like going there at all?
No, I love it, but I hate it. Like, every time, all I do is stare at it on Instagram. I stare at it on everything else and go, I want to go see my friends. I want to go home. I get there for 2 days and I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. It's just not what it used to be. There's nothing that I even know is there.
Yeah.
Same thing with New York. Every time I go back, I'm like, everything I've known is gone.
So how long have you been here?
Back in Vegas?
Yeah.
Year.
Okay. How's that been?
It has its ups and downs. Like, I love Vegas more than anywhere. I'm born and raised here. It's my favorite. But at the same time, like, you can get caught up just like anywhere. But the difference is that there's no ending here. At least in New York, they tell you go home at 4 a.m. You can choose to find an after party. In LA, they tell you it's 1:30. It's last call. Get the fuck out. You can find an after party, but the after party still ends by 4. Here, people, you'll see them. You'll walk into, let's say, a bar to have a burger. You'll go back in to have a beer 17 hours later, and that same people are sitting, same seat, and you look at the bartender, and they're like, they've been here for 2 people's shifts. Nobody's told them to go home yet. It's just kind of like it's easy to disappear in this city.
Yeah. It's like a lot of partying. It's known for gambling. It's known for partying. It's known for nightlife and all that shit.
But that also is like how anything will work. I can maintain out here because I'm from here. I can say stop. Easy. We can go home. We can do whatever. When I go to New York, it's hard to say stop because I only go there every once in a while. So when people talk about Vegas, they're talking about people who are coming here for the weekend. What are you going to do if you come here for the weekend? Well, why would I sleep if I'm only here for 3 days? So it gets a bad rep for something that most people that are from or live here would never do.
Yeah. What was it like when you got put on Baker? How did that change the trajectory of your skate career? How did that shit pop off?
Pure ecstasy. I don't know. It went from 0 to 100 overnight. Everybody says that, and I understand when they say that 9/11 was a tragedy, but that was the day that I went from the guy who wanted to be to the guy who was doing it. And it never slowed down since then. And now I'm 41 years old, and it's been 20 something years of being a pro skateboarder and getting to do what I want to do. I mean, people only dream of lives like that. So I don't take it for granted. I don't know. I can't tell you because I've lived it, but it's been pure ecstasy the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that every kid who skates eventually, even if you're not that good, even if you know that it's probably not in the cards, it's some shit that you dream about, and you see the videos, and that's the life that you want. You try to recreate that. You try to mimic it as much as you can with you and your friends. Kind of just being in the team that it's like there's a lot of people are trying to mimic a lot of pro skaters, and a lot of people like have their idols, but it was like not just Baker, but also that era of Baker where there's this like fucking super team and this like mix of people, and the way the shit's edited and the way with the music, and it's causing it's causing a lot of shit, but it's causing immense influence around the world, to the point where like you go anywhere, you go to any skate park, and like probably going to be easily recognized.
Well, I mean, I would say that there was two big factors to that. One, everything in skateboarding was changing slowly, but it was still skating. Skate videos were what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And Baker was I don't give a fuck. And I think kids, adults, humans all around just kind of recognized, wait a minute, they're living exactly how we live. We just don't have the platform for it. And this is the second thing would be, there was no Instagram. There was no, we're doing this to make somebody else happy and it only lasts for 2 seconds, or by tomorrow you forgot about it. This was us actually living our life. This was us without a cell phone in our hands, and all of us just every moment together. And I think that era and that energy kind of exploded on other people so hard, because that was the time, the moments, the everything. And now, where do you see that? And don't get me wrong, I catch myself on my phone all day long. I catch all of our best friends with, it's still something that I trained myself that, like, let's say you're on a date and the girl gets up and goes to the bathroom. You look around at a restaurant, people instantly pull out their phone.
Yeah.
And they have to look at their phone because it can't be by themselves.
It's like a tick.
Yeah.
You just do it. You're not really thinking.
I try to train myself that, remember those days, remember how good it was and how good it always will be. Just enjoy the moment. If anything, people watch again. It's fucking hilarious. And I think that that's what people got from Baker was, it was people watching. It was us just being dumb and not knowing that we were being dumb. And luckily we had Beagle sitting right there filming everything without us even knowing that he had a camera out. He just was that magic person that happened to capture it all. I don't think that the world will ever go back into that era again.
I think it would be hard you can't really recreate that.
No. And I see videos try sometimes, but you can't show the hijinks that was just the every moment of life back then.
Was it any different filming for, let's say, Baker versus filming for America?
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll tell you right now, we never even knew we were filming for Baker. We were just filming. You were just out skating and doing whatever. And then eventually we had a video. And then it turned into, hey, you have 3 weeks to get your deadline. But besides that, it was just having fun. America was like strict fucking missions. That was, you were working. You were with Heath. You were with people who were very serious. Minor, Manzuri, there wasn't time to slack off. It was, let's say we flew you to Orlando and Miami. You couldn't be sick. You couldn't be hungover. You couldn't be anything. You're coming in the van, you're fucking skating. And if somebody's skating till 4 a.m, we're skating till 4 a.m. By the way, we have a wake up call at 7 a.m. We have to hit these spots before we leave here. Very strict scheduling.
Oh shit, really?
Compared to, hey man, let's just drive across the country and see what the fuck happens.
Why was it like that with the America? Who owns the America? Like, why?
At that point, it was Pierre.
Okay.
He owned all of Soltech, and it wasn't. I don't even know if it was Pierre or who it was. It was. And I look back, I love the America videos. Those are some of my favorites of all time. I actually like them probably more than Baker videos because it was so much just into it. You know what I mean? You were furious when you didn't get something. And Baker, it was more of like, it just happened because you weren't paying attention to get something. But I love Minor and Manzuri and the whole squad and how it was strictly business. And sometimes you need that in your life. You know what I mean? Like that taught me as much about life and everything as, butting heads with people that over you just being a douchebag. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, yeah, I was actually out of line on that. I should have checked myself. But, you were a kid and you didn't think like that. Mm-hmm. Over Baker, where there was no out of line. Like, I remember we were in the car one day and I was just wilding and I just fucking threw something or I can't remember. I punched it and whatever, just joking, shattered the whole fucking front windshield. And everybody just started laughing. Instead of getting mad. But on the America video, that wouldn't have happened. It was like, really? Now we have to take a time off to go fucking get a new van and get a windshield. And so it was definitely just a different aspect and a different, I would say, all around teaching of life, of who to be and how to grow up and how to be a man. And I think Minor and Manzuri and fucking Don Brown and all those people kind of taught you that.
Yeah.
And there was also a different style of skaters.
Mm-hmm.
Baker was a shit show, especially back then. Now they have a more serious team. Back then, everybody was just off their rocker. Back in those days, we had, you had Chris Sen, Ed Templeton, Heath, Susky, all these people that they weren't big partiers. Mm. So when you had me and Spanky and Andrew, who back in the back days were just out of control, we kind of got checked by everybody else. Mm. Definitely different.
Yeah, I mean, America was huge. Stay Gold was fucking huge. For us as kids, that was like one of like the premiere videos.
That was, to this day, that was, I don't remember Baker videos. I don't remember any of the premieres. I think if you showed me photos, I might remember the Hollywood one. I remember the Baker has a Deathwish one because the riot that happened, but I don't remember Baker 3. But I definitely remember everything about Stay Gold. That was the funnest premieres ever. The taking over Hollywood of that one, going on a world tour and just them taking us in first class on planes and every country, Germany and France and whatever. And it was just a fucking great time. I'll never forget Stay Gold. That was one of the best times of my life.
How long did you guys film for? How long did you film for that?
That's the difference also. I don't remember what we filmed for Baker 3. I don't remember any of the Baker videos, what we filmed. It was just when you had enough footage.
Mm-hmm.
But that was 5 years for Stay Gold.
Holy damn. I mean, yeah.
And now you know, in skateboarding, if you don't come out with 2 video parts a year and win a contest and fucking have 4 covers, who the fuck are you? That's insane to me because, you know, there was so much put into Stay Gold and that was a 5-year project. So that one, you know, it was hundreds and if not, it seemed like thousands of trips around the world, different adventures, different filmers, different fucking crews, everything. We seen every spot that ever was skatable on the planet. And that was over 5 years. And it was just amazing to see what everybody came and what they built from it.
I know a lot of kids who, growing up, it was like, oh, I'm only skating Vans. Or like, I'm only skating Fallen. Or like, that was their thing, right? They're not like pro or nothing, not sponsored, but just homies. And then when America Stay Gold came out, that all changed for mad people. Like motherfuckers I knew who I just watched skate Vans since the day we started skating until like 9 years in, they're all wearing Americas.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, the video fucking super influential.
I mean, I can only praise Minor and them and Manzuri so much. Like every skateboarder I can praise because they put in their effort. But the work that they did with the editing, the rights, the fucking, just the whole ensemble of wow. Because I don't even think that I remember they did a screening of it for just us. But when I say us, just Andrew and like Heath or something at Andrew's house like 2 days before. And I remember maybe somebody else was there. So we didn't even see it until the premiere. I'm picturing that opening song and just the writing scribbling everywhere and just going, wow, not knowing who's first. Brandon Westgate's first and fucking this and that and just instant like, what the fuck is going on? So yeah, that one was very influencing.
Yeah, that's what's nuts too with the change in skateboarding. It was like, there's like Fallen, Circa, Osiris made skate shoes, DC, then America.
Yes.
You know, now it's like, I feel like I go into any skate shop I go into, it's like Converse, Nike, you know.
That's it.
Yeah. And then there's
tell you
Vans.
right now, if I go to pharmacy in Las Vegas or I go anywhere, I've asked them, do you guys carry anything besides 60 pairs of Nikes and then some Converse because they're owned by Nike and maybe 2 or 3 pairs of Vans? Haven't seen any Soltech, haven't seen any DCs, haven't seen, I mean, what company just went out of business? Very sad. Mike Carroll's company and yeah. What was it? Lakai, yeah. And, you know, that was just sad to see, but I haven't seen them forever. Stray, they do strictly online because they were just like, what's the point? Shops are dead, a dying breed. It's just kids nowadays don't even know what a skate shop was. I loved a skate shop. I grew up at them. It was everything that you wanted to be and choices all up and down the walls. I went into the skate shop or pharmacy up here the other day asking for a Plan B board. And they were like, no, we don't carry Plan B. And I go, what do you mean you don't carry Plan B? And they're like, we carry Baker and Frog. I'm like, what the fuck is Frog? I've never even heard of this company. And they're like, that's what we carry. Deathwish too. I'm like, okay. Do you guys carry Girl? No, we don't carry Girl. fuck you guys, I'm out of here. Like, I will make homie phone calls then because this is insane. Like, where is the diversity and kids getting an option? It's became a monopoly.
It's weird because there's more skaters now than ever, and like you'd think that would mean that all these other companies can still rock.
Which is even weird because even going up to these skate shops, where does Primitive and April and all them, how many boards, where do they sell their boards at? Because they don't even carry them in Vegas. And it blows my mind. I'm like, is online taking over the skate shop where kids don't actually get to meet up and actually have a voice and get to choose? Because now your choice is whoever's in Street League is my choice because that's all I get a choice of. And thank God for Thrasher still always being the fucking Bible and teaching the world, we don't give a fuck. This is who it is. Like, we will take a kid who's learning how to skate and put him on, or we'll take the best skater in the world that nobody's ever heard, but watch this dude 50-50 a fucking 90 stare. And he's some random dude from Australia. Oh, and by the way, he always in between 3 different other handrails. And now he's the biggest skateboarder in the world, but he's still not in Street League. So none of you guys in America or anywhere else even know who he is yet. Thank you, Thrasher. We love you.
It's a crazy thing too, because like growing up a skate shop is a place where it's like a place where you fucking for real grow up. It was like stepping into a whole world. I remember being a little kid and walking into a skate shop, and it was like I remember the ceiling was all I think Thrasher used to have the Hubba ads on the back. So it was like
Hubba, the best ads that ever existed.
The whole ceiling was just taped up Hubba ads. And I remember I was like, dude, because I walked in there with my mom, and I'm like, oh shit, dude, like fuck. Like it's porn. That's what I thought. I'm like, it's fucking porn, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're only 29. Was Big Brother even around anymore?
No.
Oh my God. Skateboarding was so fun. Hey Ma! So I remember, this is a really funny story. This TV, this is my mom back there. Mom, say hi. So this TV, Baker 2G came out. And I went to this skate shop and I bought Baker 2G. And I came here and they were gone and I didn't know. And I put it in. I must have been 15 or something like that. And my mom walks in and all they can hear was fuck a bitch, motherfucker bitch from 3-6 Mafia. And I can't remember. I think it was, oh God, I can't remember Brad Hayes' part or something like that. And she walked in and freaked the fuck out and was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, it's Baker. She's like, fuck this company. It sounds like a bunch of fun. And it was just, that was the times. And then I remember when I told her a couple of years later, hey, I got a Baker. But yeah, skate shops were just something different. Hubba wheel ads. I was very blessed to have rode from Hubba from the beginning to the end. And that was just the greatest thing. I remember going to San Francisco and they rented out a bar and they got this stripper and she took off her top and I laid on the bar and she poured whiskey down my throat. And that was the Hubba wheel ad. And like, it was the funnest time ever back then. Big Brother was around, I'm sure, like you were saying, before you were around. And that was owned by Larry Flint, who owned Hustler magazine. That was a porno. This is the beginning of Big Brother. Beginning of Jackass, the beginning of everything. Johnny Knoxville and all them were Steve-O. They were all writers for it. And it was every other page, it would be like porn. And that was skateboarding back then. It was the funniest thing ever. So I can't even imagine what they had back in, because I started skating in 94. So I would imagine from 87 through 94, it was just ridiculous.
One What's your life like now? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
On a day to day,
Yeah, what do you do? Like, yeah, what are you into?
I paint a lot. I do tattoos, but I do them for friends. But it's mainly just a lot of art. Do pretty much a ton of arts and been really into making leather jackets lately.
Okay.
Like I have a couple sponsor companies that they send me the jackets or I find them vintage on eBay or other places. And then I just go to town on them for weeks on end. I got like 6 projects in my room that I've been working on, and art has just been taking off for me, which is crazy because I painted a bunch when I was a kid, but never thought of it. And then didn't do anything after skateboarding. And then now it's just been that. And I love gambling.
Yeah.
I've gotten really good at it. I know all the tricks. I am the king of Las Vegas.